What's going on, everybody? My name is Colton, and welcome to my Week 14 NFL picks. We are entering the home stretch of the NFL season as we get ready for the playoffs. As always, going to pick every single game on the slate, but first, let's take a quick look back. Week number 13, because it was another one that really felt like it should have been better. Ended up going 7-9, and it started great. Thanksgiving went 2-1. Lions, of course, fell in the early game, but then the Cowboys, in a team that I was worried about last week in that tough spot against the Chiefs, they came through. They went outright. Joe Burrow returns, and they absolutely take it to the Ravens. That was great. The Bears win on Black Friday. The good vibes continued. The Cardinals covered by a hook. The Texans won outright. Things were going great, but then it kind of took a turn. So the Titans were my lock, one of the worst locks of all time, hand up. Don't know why I've taken the Titans so much over the past 2 years. They went up 3-0 and then never scored another point. They're just an awful team. Dolphins really should have covered. Tyler Shuck did enough late to make that a game, so Dolphins went outright but failed to cover. The Browns, a few interesting coaching decisions, some bad special teams. I know I kind of expected more from Shedeur Sanders, but it really wasn't his fault. I expect more because he talks so much that you expect more from the Browns offense, but they have a lot of issues elsewhere. The Rams, that wasn't a close one. That was just plain and simple, a great upset by the Panthers. Falcons kind of blew that game. They really should have won on the road against the Jets. Seahawks dominate the Vikings. The Raiders, again, they were covering for a while, hanging around. If they could do anything, that game could have been a little different. The Bills rolled the Steelers. The Broncos had a ton of opportunities to end the Commanders in that game, but they just kept letting them back in. Even on a fourth down, I think in overtime is when they got down to the one and then scored or whatever it was. Point being that the Broncos were seconds away from covering it at multiple points in that game, but just couldn't get it done. They end up getting the win. And if that ball doesn't get batted down by Benito, the Commanders end up winning that game outright if that amazing play doesn't occur. But the Broncos hang on again, kind of been the story of their season. And then the Giants, that was just a plain loser on Monday night as the Patriots continued to roll. So an iffy week at 7-9 leads to the season record now being 106-88. Not bad, but I still expect it to be better. Locks have completely plummeted. If you followed from week 1 to now, I was 5-1 in locks. We are now 6-7.
6-7.
A rough turn there. All-time record still really good, 406 and 325, and all-time locks 27, 21, and 1. So the past several weeks have been, 7 wins, 7 wins, 7 wins. Got to get back to a better mark here, and it didn't start great. I did take the Cowboys on Thursday Night Football against the Lions. I've really bought into the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I don't really think any less of them after this game. Lions were desperate at home. They're still a good team, Do I think the 6-1 Cowboys now get in the playoffs? Probably not at this point. They're probably cooked, but it was a good Thursday night game to open up Week 14. Let's get into the rest of the games. Starting with the Seahawks and the Falcons, and of course I'm going to take my Seahawks minus 7.5. Now, I understand this is a little bit of a tricky spot for some people. I think Atlanta still has some weapons. Now, Drake London is out. There'll be a lot of Bijan Robinson. The Seahawks do play better on the road in general under Mike McDonald. I'm sure you've heard that many times. It is a tough number, especially it's come down to 6.5. It's a little weird that people are taking the Falcons, but I'm just going to take them. I think this defense is playing amazing. I think it's a good game for Sam Darnold to get back into form after a couple of shaky weeks. I know the Seahawks have some big games with the Colts and Rams coming up, so I hope it's not a look-ahead spot, but I don't think it will with a great coaching staff and Mike McDonald leading the charge there. So I think the Seahawks will win comfortably in Atlanta. All right, next up, Titans and Browns, and I just got to full fade the Titans at this point. I'm going to trust the Browns defense to get it done. In a cold Cleveland atmosphere, I really think the Titans won't score too many points. This defense has kept the Browns in some games, has definitely been the bright spot of this team, and if Shedeur Sanders just doesn't make mistakes, I really think the Browns should be able to cover this number. The Titans are just a awful, awful team. I don't see much upside. I don't really know how you can pick them with confidence, especially after I did last week against the Jaguars. I'm on full fade mode at this point, probably the rest of the season. Unless it's a gargantuan number, I'm on the opposite side, and I'll take the Browns here. All right, Commanders and Vikings. This is a tricky one because Jaden Daniels is set to start, and that really made me want to switch, but I'm just going to stay with the Vikings. I'm not sure how he'll look off that injury. This is a tough defense and a tough place to play. The Commanders are coming off a game where they really left it all out there. They gave it their all against the Broncos and came up short. That's got to be a little deflating for a team that is 3-9. Now to go into a tough atmosphere in Minneapolis against a really well-coached Brian Flores defense. I think the Vikings are the side here. Now, I do worry about J.J. McCarthy, a guy that I am not high on to begin with. He now comes back after the Max Brosmer debacle last week. I think if he can just do some simple things, I don't think the Commanders are going to score a ton of points. I think the Vikings can just grind their way to this win and return a little bit of confidence in J.J. McCarthy. Although, again, coming out of Michigan, I didn't really understand how that offense system would translate to the NFL, and I think we're seeing that. So I do have concerns here, but I don't want to take Washington in this spot. Next up, a game I actually like a lot, the New York Jets plus 2.5 at home. Now, I don't want to exhaust this narrative, but Tua in the cold, under Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins in general, in cold weather games, it just speaks for itself. I don't have a ton of confidence in the Jets offense still, but I don't think Tua is going to be moving the ball up and down the field on this team in this environment. I'd probably still start Jalen Waddle in fantasy just because he is the main option on the team, and Achane, of course, is a must start, but I don't think the Dolphins skill guys are going to go off in this game by any means. Divisional game, home dog, the cold weather narrative. I mean, I think this is all Jets here. Plus, the public is seeing a few Dolphins wins. I feel like a lot of people are on the Dolphins now. I think this is the perfect time to go to the other side and take the Jets. Next up, I'm just going to lay the 8.5 with the Buccaneers. I'm pretty much on full fade mode with the Saints as well. The Tyler Shuck deal, I mean, I thought Spencer Rattler, I think, made them a lot more competitive. Now, this is a divisional game. These two teams do really hate each other, and that alone can sometimes make for some weird outcomes. But the Saints just really aren't working with a lot. I got to believe that the Buccaneers, tied up in a tough divisional race against the Panthers with two Carolina matchups coming up, I feel like they need this win. I think they need to get right. I think Baker has to come out and really play well after, even last week against the Cardinals outgained them. I think the Bucs have to just have a start-to-finish dominant performance against a division rival, and I'll take them here to do just that. All right, speaking of exhausting narratives, the Colts and the Jaguars here. I was originally on the Colts, and I'm not saying I'm getting off of them just for the reason that they haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. If you haven't heard that one yet, I'm sure you'll hear it somewhere else because that is a big trend with this team. Now, I don't want to put too much stock into that because there's a different iteration of the team every year. How much does that trend really matter? Why do they struggle so much against Jacksonville? But it's weird because Jacksonville is not a dominant team over the past decade. And the fact that the Colts, who have had some decent teams, cannot go down there and win is just weird. And the Jaguars are just playing some weird games. You know, I've been on them. I've been off of them. I'm going to get back on them here. Daniel Jones has the fibula injury. I don't know how he plays through that. I don't really get it. I feel like that'll continue to impact him. He did make some decent throws last week in that loss against the Texans. I don't buy into the Jaguars a ton, but I do think they're going to get to 9-4 here and take control of the AFC South for at least 1 more week. All right, Steelers and Ravens. This is a play that just, when these two teams play, I think the number is, when the spread is over 3, I'm pretty sure the underdog is like dominating this series. I mean, it makes sense. An AFC North battle, these teams always play close games. Pittsburgh is one of the few teams that really has figured out Lamar Jackson at times, and this is a time period where we're seeing the most struggle that we've seen from Lamar Jackson after the hamstring injury, so not exactly a time to have a huge vote of confidence in this Ravens offense. They haven't really been running the ball particularly well. They probably will here against Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's not really tremendous at stopping the run. I could see the Ravens having some success, but I'm just going to take Mike Tomlin. This feels like a Mike Tomlin spot where they just cover. I think the Ravens might win this game, but too many points, divisional game, same record. I think it's going to be a tight black and blue battle. Next up, we get the Bengals and the Bills. This is a very fun one, 1 o'clock window. I'm going to take the Bengals plus 5.5. Now, I just buy into Joe Burrow a lot. You could see how his teammates were talking about having him back in the lineup, how much of a different dynamic it creates for this offense. It's just a completely different team. The vibe is completely different, and they have their leader back now. And they're not even dead here because the Steelers and Ravens are tied for first place at 6-6. The Bengals still play the Ravens again. They just beat them. I mean, they're low-key alive. Now, I know he said this last year kind of with the Bengals saying, you know, what if they get in the playoffs? They're dangerous. And, of course, they fell short. But this season, they might have even more of a path. I'm not sure what the percentages were at this point last year, but I think the Bengals are going to fight. I think they actually win this game. Definitely take the 5.5. Buffalo has their own set of issues. They did run the ball incredibly well against Pittsburgh, which we talked about their run defense. James Cook had a monster day. I think there'll be points in this game. I could see like a 34-30 type game one way or the other, and I think the Bengals will do it, and I'll take the 5.5. Next up, I'm blindly taking the Broncos here. I don't care what this number is unless it's more than 17 points because I'm so sick of the Raiders in games that they should cover and they just cannot get there. Now, the Broncos do kind of not dominate anybody, so laying anything more than 3.5 is a bit concerning, and I'm doing it here at 7.5. But the Raiders just cannot hang in games. Their defense plays just good enough to, make it give the offense a shot, and then they just don't do enough. So the Raiders, what an awful season it has been. I'm just going to trust that the Broncos will continue their winning ways as they look to get back to that 1 seed with the Patriots on a bye. Absolutely love this spot for the Green Bay Packers, -6.5. No disrespect to Bears fans, but if you think like the Bears are the number 1 seed in the NFC right now, if you truly think the Bears are a powerhouse, doesn't it feel like this line should be like 3.5? It makes me even more confident that it's 6.5 because I think the Packers are just a better team. Roma Dunze is out, which of course hurts the Bears. Expect more. I think Luther Burden could be a good play here, but that Packers defense is playing well. They finally let Jordan Love kind of throw the ball a lot last week against Detroit, and we saw some good things. The Packers are a weird team. I don't really buy them as a Super Bowl contender necessarily, but I do think in this spot it's the ultimate, sell high on the Bears and just go with the Packers here because I just think this might be a tough day for Chicago. Rams and Cardinals, this is the least analysis of the week here, but I'm taking the Cardinals +8.5. I just have a feeling that the way the Cardinals have been playing, Jacoby Brissett's been good enough to keep the Cardinals in the majority of games. The Cardinals have so many losses by 1 possession. We saw that last week against the Buccaneers. They, again, outgained them. They were in that game to win it. They lose by 3. I just think this is a spot. Now, McVay does kind of dominate the Cardinals, and they're off a big upset loss. That's the scariest part. It's tough. Not one of my favorite games of the week, but I just think 8.5 is a little too much for a team that has been playing competitive football, and I kind of expect them to continue to do so down the stretch. Texans and Chiefs, I'm taking the Texans +3.5. I think the Chiefs have been favored by 3.5 now. How many straight weeks it feels like? They were against the Cowboys. They were against the Colts. They were against the Broncos. They just haven't covered any of them. Even the game they won against the Colts, like they do not cover this number. And now that you're having the best defense in football, arguably, I would throw in the Seahawks. But the Texans are statistically pretty much the best unit in the league right now. And they're coming into Arrowhead. I think they're going to cause problems for this Patrick Mahomes-led offense. Do I think the Texans win? I'm back and forth on it. I think the Chiefs probably maybe sneak out the win, but I want to be on that side of the hook. So 3.5, I expect this to be a field goal game. Once again, the Chiefs will be in a close contest. I do love that C.J. Stroud is back. I think the Texans are the best team in the AFC South. I think they are better than the Jaguars and Colts. It's a massive game, should be a good one. I'm going to take the 3.5 with the road dog. And finally, Monday Night Football, the Eagles -2.5 at the Chargers. I still can't buy it. The Eagles are falling apart. I know the Philadelphia fan base is acting like they're falling apart, but they're kind of always like that. I think this team is still good. They're off a Super Bowl. It's always challenging off a Super Bowl year. They need this win. Justin Herbert just had surgery. He's probably going to play. He's tough as hell. Respect Justin Herbert immensely. I just feel like this is an Eagles spot to get right, to reassure people that this is still a competitive NFC contender. The Chargers still have a lot of issues. I say it every week about the offensive line. Now Justin Herbert's banged up too. Like, this is too many things going against the Chargers right now, and this isn't a tough road atmosphere. It's in LA. Eagles will probably have more fans there. Jalen Hurts and this team have to do enough in this spot. I think this is a critical game for Philadelphia season, and I think they will get it done against Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. All right, lock of the week. I've been overthinking them clearly. I'm just going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals because I believe in Joe Burrow, and I believe what this team is going to do. T. Higgins is back. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins combo should elevate this offense to do enough against Buffalo to at least stay within this mark. The defense has been playing better the past couple weeks against the Patriots and against the Ravens. That coinciding with Joe Burrow's return, I think this is the perfect time for the Bengals to show what they could have been. So I think they have a competitive game with Buffalo. I think it's a good one, and I will make that my lock of the week. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I appreciate all of the support. Enjoy Week 14. Let me know what you guys think is going to go down, and I will see you all very, very soon as we gear up for the NFL playoffs. Later.